And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
That's on me. I do apologize. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Hodgman, and welcome to the Market Recap. Let's try this again. It is Monday, December 6th. We have sound. That's on me. I do apologize there. Appreciate everyone jumping in. There is a delay. There's about a 20 to 30 second delay from where I'm at versus what you guys are seeing. So sometimes it takes a minute to jump in there. So I do apologize for that. So there is a little bit of delay. So I'll get going, and then all of a sudden I'll see the comments coming in. So sorry about that. All right. So what I was saying was fears of Omicron really are getting shrugged off. You've got crude oil. The fear that possibly demand was going to be down, that's kind of stepping away. We tested that $70 mark, 12 cents off that right now. S&Ps this morning open up above settlement price, close the gap just about in that first little bit. Check settlement price takes off to the upside. We test above Friday's high. Broke down a little bit there. A little sell-off off the high up at 46.10. And in the day, right around 45.90. So relatively decent move there. NASDAQ opened up right at settlement price. Broke a little bit, made new lows over last night's lows, and then took right back off to the upside. Gold kind of stays inside. We opened up below settlement price. We grinded a little lower, and then back to the upside. Made a high, or got above settlement price. We closed the gap, and then rotated right back down. Euro, back to that downward trend. Euro continuing lower, really a smooth grind to the downside. And the 10-year note yields are higher, notes are down. No surprise there. No major news. A couple things to touch on though. Where we got it here. All right, so first off, big news is the U.S. won't be sending any officials to the Beijing Olympics. No government officials will be attending that in 2022. Other than that, though, pretty quiet on the news front. Really is. We're kind of getting towards the end of the year. It's going to be a relatively quiet week. I think, we've got some major decent numbers coming out this week. We do have CPI coming out on Friday, jobless claims on Thursday. But other than that, it's going to be a pretty quiet week, so there could be some really good opportunity. After this week, you're going to start to see things kind of peeling down. I actually saw a comment today about this in our Facebook community. If you guys aren't in that, topstep.com/Facebook, go check it out. Pretty good community there. A lot of people talking about ideas. And one of the questions was, hey, historically, institutions kind of start peeling off this week. or in the coming weeks. Kind of midway through December, everyone kind of starts to shut down and steps away. And, you know, I read that and I saw a lot of comments in there. Well, if your strategy says to trade it, just take the trade. And that's not really what's going on. And I think it's important to kind of touch on that. One of the main things that goes on when they start to peel, the liquidity is drying up. So you may have a signal, markets opening up away from settlement price, close the gap to settlement price. Potential, for sure. But when your volume and your liquidity isn't quite the same as your strategy is used to trading in, you're going to see changes. You're going to get slippage. There's going to be chances for drastic volatile moves that, yeah, they look exciting, but really aren't ideal situations for us to be trading in. So I'm not going to sit here and say don't trade it, but I'm going to say keep an eye on that stuff. If you start to see that volume thinning up, if you start to see things drying out a little bit, don't be afraid to take the time. You know, that's the best thing about trading. So what if you missed 2 weeks and maybe you could have made a couple grand? On the flip side, you could have lost a couple grand too. Hindsight's 20/20. Take time for yourself. Take time to spend it with your family. Get out and enjoy it. Come the 15th, I'm out for the rest of the year, and I am truly looking forward to it. Signing out of all my stuff and kind of getting away. So if you can find those opportunities, I stress, do it. It's so good for your the mental health there to get some time away. So if you can, I cannot stress enough, take advantage of that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these charts real quick. But first, I want to say hello to everybody. I know you guys are all saying no sound and not actually saying hello to me, but I'm going to take it as a hello too. PK, good to see you. Charles, Mo, Jorg, good to see you. Let's see. Sammy, good to see you. Jerry's awake. Manuel, Jorg, Jamie. Yes, guys, we got the audio. Like I said, I do apologize for that. There's about a 30-second delay or so from me to what you guys are seeing, so there's a slight delay there. Ricardo, good to see you. Norman, Jorg, Charles, well, yes, I'm glad you can hear me. Sammy, sound issues breaking up. If everyone else is okay, I don't think I've ever really had any sound issues like that. It seems to be coming through okay. I can kind of turn myself down a little bit. Maybe that'll help out. Let's go ahead and take a look at these charts here. JB, good to see you as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our charts here and see what we had going on today. And like we start with our crude oil. Crude oil settlement price, which crude oil kind of gave us a chance here today to close that gap to settlement price. You got settlement. Whoops. There we go. We got settlement down here at 66.26, 66.26, all the way down here is our settlement price. Market opens up away from settlement, right near point of control. So if you're me, I'm instantly thinking I've got a chance to close the gap to settlement price on this open. I'm okay with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking my short here off the open. I'm going to put my stop just above point of control, and I'm going to look for rotation to the downside. We have to recognize as soon as we start to approach other levels. And what do we have here? We've got value low from Friday, 67.17. Market fails to make it down to value low. Once we start to see failure to make it down there, that's a sign we have to recognize. We've got to recognize, hey, downside moves probably going to struggle a little bit if we're not even making it down to value. To me, closing that gap to settlement is reliant on breaking through value low rather quickly. I don't want to see value low hold up. So if the market struggles to get down to that, that's where I got to take that trade off. Okay, conditions have changed. We've struggled to make it even to the low side of value from Friday. Let's get out of this trade and wait and see what this market's going to do. If anything, there's an opportunity to flip our direction and say, hey, this looks like it wants to be an inside day possibly, and we're going to get rotation back to value high. Market made the move to value high, and it took off, and as soon as it got close, it moved right through there. Took a little bit, but we held at that price. We did not hold on the downside move. We're showing that, hey, it's struggling to bring in sellers here. Look for the upside move. And, equities hugely taking off to the upside once those equities opened up. And the news on that was strictly, hey, less fear of Omicron and possible shutdowns. With that being the case, the fear that demand is going to slip kind of fades away and gets shrugged off. This market takes right back up, moves up through 70, and we're going to be testing that 70 price. Now, that's going to be a key area here tonight and probably into tomorrow. Let's see if we can get acceptance above that 70. If we do, we got a lot of room to the upside, but if not, hey, that's okay. I drew this channel on here over the last 3 days. This market's traded really nicely in this channel as we've kind of picked up some momentum to the upside. The difference here, we did not test the extremes at all today. So that's what I'm going to continue to look at. You guys know me. I like to look for things inside channel. I like to kind of just frame it out in a visual way for me to see. I'm going to try and avoid any inside chop. I'm going to wait for my market to get to near that extreme to take some chances. So just a couple things to pay attention to going on this week. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500. S&P 500 settlement price 45.37.5. 45.37.5. right here. So this market today off the open came right down to 45.39 even. So we missed it by 1.5. But remember, if we're pretty darn close to settlement price, it doesn't have to get to the tick, but 3 or 4 ticks away from it, I'm okay with that. 1.5 away, that's not a big deal. Market price is lower, comes right down to value high from Friday. Value high quickly rejects. We saw quick rejection. That's a quick sign that this market is not looking to fall into Friday's range. Rather, we got to start to look to upside. Look for upside opportunity. Wait for that market to give us pullbacks. And here's a great chance. This market pulled back right here to our 20-period moving average multiple times off the open. And that's where I'm looking for a chance. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to take my long here. I'm going to look for rotation back to the high side and possibly come check a prior swing high. Now, here coming into tomorrow, what do we have all the way back here from last Wednesday? We have an unchecked point of control up here at 46.30. 46.30. Let's mark our charts. And if this market continues on this trend, whoops, I want to do a different thing. There we go. So if market continues on, we're going to make this a raise just so we can see it going forward. All right, so if market continues on this upward trend here tomorrow, let's look for regular trading hours to come and possibly check unchecked point of control or this, let's keep an eye on that 46.30. Let's really keep our eyes here on this upside move. Right now, at the end of the day, we're seeing a little bit of weakness in an uptrend. What are we looking for in an uptrend? We're looking for weakness to buy to continue with trend. Now, I'm not saying this market has established a market state to the upside. Matter of fact, we're still well within a nice range here, but it's looking to change states. So we'll keep an eye on that. If we can kind of break above this 46.30, we've got a chance for this market to continue to the upside. Next, let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ now opens up basically right at settlement price, 15,717.75, 717.75 right here, right where this market opened up. So we've got a volatile open. Our first trade, close the gap to settlement, that's out the window. Out the window. Market, just like S&Ps, makes a quick move to the downside. And where does it come to? Points of control and value from Friday. So we've got an opportunity here. As soon as this market comes down, we can start to look for a chance to possibly get a buy and look for rotation back inside. Because for me, off this open, all I'm looking at is I'm looking range-bound trade, looking inside Friday's range. That's going to be my initial instinct. I'm going to fade my extremes of the range. So that's what we've got an opportunity here off this open. Now, trading that first a little bit off the open, extremely volatile in a market like NASDAQ. It's a pretty intimidating market. I'm going to be hesitant. I'm going to slow down just a little bit. I'm going to wait and see because I'm probably a little slow to quickly pick a bottom in a market that's quickly ripping to the downside like it did off this open. It did that. So now I'm going to wait. Now I want to see what this market's doing, and it's establishing higher lows. We're establishing higher lows. That's telling us this market wants to start to move higher. Where can it go? Well, I'm going to try. I'm probably going to wait a little bit longer, and this is where I started to get in today. This is where I started looking for opportunity. On the second pullback here, around 9 o'clock this morning, we pulled right back to point of control. That, to me, was a chance for me to go, okay, now's my chance to take this long. And all I'm looking for it to do is I'm looking for it to rotate right to value high from Friday. So that's what my chance was today. Coming in here, down here, right around 600, and rotating that up to 715. That's a nice 115-point move in the NASDAQ here we could take advantage of just being patient. I'm probably going to get a little bit more hesitant, like I said, off the open, so I'm going to look for this. And then as this market starts establishing newer highs, that's where I'm just looking for weakness and taking that trend higher. All right, next, let's look at the gold. Gold, relatively inside day, kind of a tight trade. We had settlement price in gold at 1783.90. 1783.90. Right up here is our settlement price. Market opens up away from settles. Am I looking for a close the gap to settlement? You betcha I am off that open. But I'm still going to wait for equity open. I like to wait for equity open. We can open up equities. This market breaks down to value high, makes an attempt to get inside value from Friday. It rejected right away. This is why I think value areas are so important. It's showing rather quick acceptance for us here. It rejects value from Friday. All right, cool. We're rejecting it. Let's see if I can now take my long to close the gap to settlement price. And that's when we finally closed our gap to settlement, 83.90, 83.90 right here. We closed the gap to settlement price. And that, for me, was the best trade today in the gold. Buying value high from Friday, looking at this saying it's not accepting inside. Let's see if I can get rotation back inside, rotate it back to the upside, closing the gap to settlement. And it did rather nicely. Rejected it, but we got our trade. And that's really what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for closing that gap. And I got to find the pivotal location. I'm not just jumping in instantaneously. It's the first thing I'm looking at, but I'm not going to jump in instantaneously. I like crude oil. I like gold, but I don't want to really mess with gold until I start to see volume coming in the equity market, because once that equity market opens up, it could have an effect on these markets. So I want to wait for that bigger volume to start to roll in. All right, next, let's look at our euro. Like we said, euro maintaining trend to the downside. Lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and a lower high. This market is in a beautiful grind to the downside. So what do we need to look for? We need to look for strength, and we want to short strength. That's all we want to do. Market opens up this morning. We got a little bit of strength. Equities open. Market started to break. Boom, there's our chance. We take that short and rotation to the downside. Simple. Now, here's the difference. We did not make really any lows here today. We came and checked Friday's low, so we are still in range from Friday, but we're starting to kind of create a little bit of a wedge because we're starting to see this market creating a shelf on the downside while making lower lows. Something to think about. We got good candle patterns here. Let's wait and see. We may have a nice potential for breakout coming out here soon. All right, lastly, 10-year note. Settlement price was way up at 131.14 half. 31.14 half. Way the heck up here was our settlement price. Market opens up this morning away from settlement price. Yes, first thing we're thinking, hey, look to close the gap to settlement price. Plus, we got a point of control up here at 31.12. 31.12 is point of control. I'm liking what I see to the upside, but we have to look at more. We have to think about fundamentals. Yields are on the rise. When yields start rising, you're going to have a really hard time finding buyers in the treasury market, or in the futures here. You're going to have a really hard time. So you got yields rising. Look for treasuries to get weaker. That's exactly what happened here today. We got weaker on the news of the yields rising, and you got treasuries selling off. So just our markets here today. It is a Monday, so remember, no matter what happened today here, we got a long week ahead of us. Don't push it. Take your time. Look for those bigger opportunities. Like I said, relatively quiet on the news front. Economic releases, they're going to be relatively quiet, so we do have some potential for some nice grinding markets here. What do they say about equities? No bad news is good news for the equities. Is that going to be the case? Are we not going to have a ton of news coming out this week? If that's the case, hey, maybe we're going to continue to see some grind to the upside. Now, on the flip side, something I do want to point out, we started making a downside move on Friday in the NASDAQ. Sorry, my dog's barking. I think UPS just dropped off a package. But something to think about. The 10% sell-off mark in NASDAQ is one of the ones I was looking at on Friday thinking, man, if this sell-off really continues the way it is. So we're all the way down. It'll all the way down at 15,000. So we've got a ton of room come that sell-off there for that 10% mark, but Friday we did hit the 50-day moving average in the NASDAQ. So a couple things just to think about here. Now, Bitcoin. Here's just a prime example of why Bitcoin still is just a little tough to trade, right? So Friday, that market kind of closes right at, let's see here, 53,570. 53,570. Opens up today, or last night, on a gap open lower. So if you're long, let's say you're trading Bitcoin and you went into it long on Friday, and we opened up with a gap, you're down $4,500, or $4,500. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on the tick value, but it opened back up at 49,000. So huge break on the gap open. So that market now up, down drastically here today, 49,215. 49,215. So that's 8% down. I think when we opened up this morning, it was more like 10% down. We came and checked all the way down to almost 47,000. So big sell-off, or lack thereof, just a huge break without access in the Bitcoin market. So if you have Bitcoin, make sure you keep an eye on that stuff. All right, let's go take a look at some of the stocks that we watch, and we'll get on out of here. Airbnb up today, pretty good, $180.85. Hey, fears of, remember, you look at everything. We're talking about, there's not as much fear right now about the Omicron virus. Demand for oil seems to be increasing. Airbnb, a travel company, a company based off of people traveling, increase. You've got airline stocks are all up. So Airbnb up $180.85. AMC, the meme stocks really had a big year here. AMC down today, $28. GameStop, sell-off is on. Remember, last week we were over 200. Now we're at $167.12. Tesla down $1,009. Robinhood has a little bit of an update today. Not a huge one. $21.90. Remember, when that thing opened up, it was up by $40, $50. Rivian has the update as well, $116. And then lastly, no surprise here, VIX is still high, but we're down on the day. We're down almost 11%. VIX is at 27.3. All right, so last thing here, tomorrow, a couple economic releases. You've got international trading good at 7:30 a.m. Central Time, as well as productivity and costs. But that's about it. Like I said, really going to be a quiet week here as it relates to numbers coming out, but doesn't mean you got to stop watching the news. Keep an eye on the news. Make sure you're paying attention to what's going on. Things can always change. We know how it happens. That surprise factor is really what ignites directional moves. So awesome. So that's what I got. No, nothing really good on this date in history. So we'll check back on that one tomorrow. John will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time, or 7:45 a.m. Central Time with the market forecast. And then make sure you guys tune in with us tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Central Time for the Coach's Playbook. It should be a good one. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Trade smart and trade well. I look forward to seeing you guys in the markets. Take care, everybody.